Well, happy Saturday. God bless you. Pastor Alvin White here, Senior Pastor of Empowering Word Christian Center, Transition Prophet. I prophesy transitions, and one of the leaders of God's holy remnant of these last days. Happy Saturday. It's March 14th, 2026. And I'm jumping on live. There's a video that I watched yesterday. And I want to do a watch party on this video, do a live watch party on this video. I thought it was very interesting, from the standpoint of the prophetic and biblical end time prophecy. And I'm gonna break it down for you, and really, hopefully, it will allow you to see some biblical end time prophecy and then America. So the first thing I want to discuss with you is, I'm going to put this here. That's what we're going to do. All right. First thing I'm going to do is let's go to Revelation chapter, let's see here, 13, 11. So, Revelation 13, 11. Remember, biblical end time prophecy is multi-dimensional, meaning one prophecy can have multiple multiple meanings. And so in that, we also know in biblical end time prophecy that a beast is both a kingdom and a person. A beast is a kingdom and a person. So you have to remember that. So when we see in biblical end time prophecy, we look at Daniel, the beast, which was a lion with wings. That beast represented Babylon, but it also represented Nebuchadnezzar. Remember, as a picture of that or allegory of that, God actually transformed Nebuchadnezzar into a beast who roamed the fields for 7 years. So you can see a beast is a kingdom and a person. In Daniel, you see where the lion with wings, he stood up and the wings fell off and a man's heart was given to him. So God is showing us that a beast is a kingdom and it is a person. We see that with the bear that rose up on one side, and the bear represented Medo-Persia. It rose up on one side because it was more prevalent from the Persian side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth. It had crushed 3 kingdoms. One of those kingdoms was Egypt, but it had crushed 3 kingdoms. That's why it had 3 ribs in its side. In its mouth, rather. 3 ribs in its mouth, excuse me. And then we see the third beast. We see it is a leopard with 4 heads, 4 sets of wings, but it's a leopard with 4 heads. And in that, this leopard, it had 4 heads because Alexander the Great was the leader of Greece. When he died, he left his kingdom to 4 generals. And so we've talked about this. And so that's why the leopard had 4 heads. And then you have the monstrosity beast, which represented, you have pagan Rome. And then it begins to turn into papal Rome, which is a picture of the Antichrist agenda, meaning a merger of church, religion, and political power. Papal Rome is a representation of the Antichrist agenda. It was a foreshadow, is a type of the Antichrist agenda, which is a merger of political power and religious power using Christianity. And so that's what we saw in the Dark Ages. So then when that power began to fall, another beast came up out of the earth, which is America. You've heard me talk about that before and break that down. That's from Revelation chapter 13:11. A beast coming up out of the earth, having two horns like a lamb and speaks like a dragon. The two horns represent seats of power. The lamb, obviously, symbolizing, representing, or impersonating the Lamb of God. And then Christ. And then speaks like a lamb, and or two horns like a lamb, speaks like a dragon. Dragon represents Satan. So this beast has a satanic voice, but it impersonates Christ. So what do we see? We know that this is talking about the false prophet. Well, remember, a beast is a person in a kingdom. And so this kingdom is America. And how do we know that? Because America is where the Antichrist comes out of. Donald Trump is the Antichrist. And America is the one that pushes the Antichrist agenda. It pushes a false narrative of Christianity, Christian nationalism that is going global, MAGA, that is going global. This is all the Antichrist agenda. And so America is that beast of the earth, driving peace, looking like innocence, looking like peace, but having the policies and having the driving force of Satan. You can see that throughout history, through chattel slavery. Again, some people say, oh, there's slavery all over the world. No, you say you're a Christian nation. You can't have things of the world. Do not be conformed to this world. You have to follow the teachings of Jesus to be a Christian nation. So they boast of Christianity, but they do something totally different. You have 100 years plus of Jim Crow and so on and so forth. You have all of this. And so now you have America, the beast out of the earth, which is the proponent. Now, also what is going to come out of America is the false prophet. The false prophet is going to eventually come out of America. Some people speculate who that false prophet is. We don't know who that false prophet is. We just have to continue to watch and pray. I have a thought on who I think the false prophet is, but I haven't had that totally secured by the Spirit of God. Not like I know Donald Trump is the Antichrist. So that's neither here nor there at this point. But this video goes into the harlot. Now, remember, Revelation chapter 17 talks about the harlot. Who is the harlot? The harlot is the apostate church. The harlot is the apostate church. Remember, anytime you see a woman symbolism, it's speaking of the church. It's speaking of the people of God. Remember, the church is the bride of Christ. So if you have a bride that hasn't been faithful, that's been committing adultery, then that's the harlot, right? So the harlot. But something in addition to that is this harlot is really committing adultery with political ideology, cultural ideology, and what we see as America. So this Christian nationalism or this false Christianity that comes out of America is really this whole entity of the harlot. This video, I think, does a very good job of bringing that out. So I want to play it for you. I'm going to stop at different times. To just kind of go over it. This video is by, it's called Hidden Word Mysteries. And it's called The Biblical Destiny of the USA. U.S. Is America, Mystery, Babylon in Revelation. This is a very, very good video. And let's go ahead and start it here.
For nearly 2,000 years, Bible scholars have hunted for her identity. A woman dressed in purple and scarlet, dripping with gold and jewels, holding a golden cup filled with abominations, drunk on the blood of the saints. She sits on many waters. She rules over the kings of the earth. The merchants of the world have grown rich from her luxuries, and on her forehead, a name. Mystery, Babylon the Great. For centuries,
Now, I think that's so awesome because it says Babylon the Great. Well, what is MAGA's chant? Make America great again. Make America great. So this notion to make America great, just like you see Babylon the Great. Okay, so let's take some more.
Theologians pointed to Rome, the seven hills, the persecution, the purple robes of cardinals. Others insisted it must be a rebuilt city in ancient Iraq, literal Babylon rising from the desert. But none of them could have imagined that she might be waving a torch in New York Harbor. Today, we investigate the most controversial prophetic theory of our time. Is the United States of America the final fulfillment of Babylon the Great in the book of Revelation? The evidence will disturb you, the symbols will shock you, and the ending is written in fire. Before we examine the evidence, we need to understand what Mystery Babylon actually means, because if we get this wrong, everything else falls apart. When the Apostle John wrote Revelation around 95 AD, the ancient city of Babylon had already been in ruins for over 600 years. It fell to the Medes and Persians in 539 BC. By John's time, it was little more than crumbling walls and desert sand. So why is John writing about Babylon as if it's a future superpower? The answer lies in one word: mystery. In Greek, the word is mysterion, and here's what most people miss. It doesn't mean mysterious or unknowable. In the New Testament, mysterion refers to a divine truth that was once hidden, but is now being revealed by the Spirit of God. When John writes Mystery Babylon, he's signaling something crucial. This isn't about the geographic location in Iraq. This is about a spiritual successor, a future entity that embodies everything ancient Babylon represented. And what did Babylon represent? Go back to Genesis chapter 11, the Tower of Babel. Under Nimrod, described as a mighty hunter against the Lord, humanity gathered to build a tower reaching to heaven. One language, one people, one goal. Let us make a name for ourselves. 3 characteristics defined the Babylon spirit from the very beginning. First, secular humanism, man reaching heaven by his own effort. Second, globalism, one unified world system. Third, pride, glory for humanity, not God.
Okay, so let's just look at that for a second. It talked about the first one being secular humanism. Secular humanism. So one of the things that you see with this false Christianity, this apostate church, and America, this combination, this beastly combination. You see this belief that America is somehow great, and this secular humanism of, hey, we have our own righteousness, this self-righteousness. You see a lot of self-righteousness, burying past sins. Rather than repenting of things, they want to justify and rationalize and cover up and bury and eliminate. That's why they want to do away with certain things with Black history. They want to do away with certain things with DEI. They want to do away with things regarding just being able to, have truth when it comes to America history. They want to say that the founding fathers were Christian. They want to say that America was built on Christianity and that America is a Christian nation. Well, all of that is self-righteousness and secular humanism. It's their way to get to a place of righteousness rather than actually repentance and going through Jesus Christ. Rather than acknowledgement and admittance of sins, they want to bury and try to, hide that. The next thing that was mentioned was globalism. You can see America has had this globalism idea that they are the governor of the world. You can see that America has kind of controlled the world, and even the presidency is called the leader of the free world. This globalism idea. You see it now more than ever with Donald Trump, with his Board of Peace, taking down the United Nations and now implementing the Board of Peace. Then you see this pride. 2 Timothy tells us that in the last days there'll be lovers of themselves. Loving America. You have to love America. This drive you have to love. This teaching. We want our children to love America. So many are saying right now. That's a pride. That's a lovers of themselves. We want them. There's this pride to, again, going back to this revisionist history of America, to paint America as the providential place of the world. Great pride, make America great again. And all of that is just rooted in pride. And so let's continue.
Glory for humanity, not God. This spirit didn't die when ancient Babylon fell. It simply moved, and the prophets knew it. Isaiah 13 describes Babylon's destruction like Sodom and Gomorrah, a sudden supernatural overthrow where no one will ever live there again. But historically, that never happened. Babylon declined slowly over centuries. People continued living in the region for generations, which means the prophecy points to something future, a final Babylon, the ultimate incarnation of the anti-God system. The question is, who fits the description? Let's examine the evidence, layer by layer, prophecy by prophecy, and let the scriptures speak for themselves. Revelation 17 verse 1 introduces Mystery Babylon with a striking image. The great prostitute who sits on many waters. Jeremiah 51:13 echoes this, addressing Babylon directly. You who dwell by many waters, abundant in treasures. Now, ancient Babylon sat on the Euphrates River, one river. Impressive for its time, but hardly many waters. Rome, the Mediterranean, one sea. But America? Stand on the east coast and you face the Atlantic Ocean, the second largest body of water on Earth. Walk to the west coast and you meet the Pacific, the largest. To the south, the Gulf of Mexico. To the north, The Great Lakes, the largest freshwater system on the planet. Running through the heartland, the Mississippi-Missouri River system, the fourth longest in the world. No nation in history has been so literally surrounded by water. But there's more. In Revelation 17:15, the angel explains the symbolism. The waters that you saw are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. Think about that. Many peoples, many nations, many languages, all flowing into one. What phrase appears on America's Great Seal? E pluribus unum, from many, one. No nation on earth was built by immigration like the United States. Every ethnicity, every continent, every language. Wave after wave of humanity, from the Mayflower to Ellis Island to the southern border today. The world poured into America like rivers into an ocean. Stand at the base of the Statue of Liberty and read the inscription. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. She sits on many waters, literally and figuratively. No other candidate comes close. But geography alone doesn't make a Babylon. The prophets described something else, a military force unlike anything the ancient world could imagine. Jeremiah 50:23 contains one of the most striking titles ever given to Babylon, How the Hammer of the Whole Earth Has Been Cut Apart and Broken. A hammer. Think about what a hammer does. It crushes, it breaks, it reshapes. It builds by destroying what came before. Ancient Babylon was powerful, but regional. Its hammer struck Mesopotamia, not the whole earth. Rome's legions conquered the Mediterranean world. Impressive, but still limited to one region. The Mongol Empire swept across Eurasia. Devastating. But they never touched the Americas, Sub-Saharan Africa, or Australia. Now consider the United States. Over 800 military bases in more than 70 countries. The only nation capable of projecting overwhelming force to any point on Earth within hours. A defense budget larger than the next 10 nations combined. Aircraft carriers patrolling every ocean. Satellites watching every square mile of the planet. In the 20th century alone, American military power crushed the German Empire, the Japanese Empire, and contributed decisively to the collapse of the Soviet Union. In the 21st century, American forces have operated in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Somalia, and dozens of other nations. Name another empire that has reshaped the political order of every inhabited continent. You can't, because there has never been one. But Jeremiah saw something even more remarkable. Chapter 51, verse 53. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify her strong height, destroyers will come. Mount up to heaven? Ancient Babylon had ziggurats, impressive stepped pyramids, but mounting to heaven was poetic exaggeration for them. For America, it's literal. NASA put men on the moon. American satellites circle the globe. The Space Force, the first military branch dedicated to space warfare, now guards the ultimate high ground. When the prophet Obadiah warned, "Though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down," he used Israel's future enemies' own symbol against them. And what is America's national symbol? The eagle, the hammer of the whole earth, mounting up to heaven, nesting among the stars. No nation has ever fit these descriptions. Until now. But Revelation 18 adds another dimension, not just military power. Economic dominance so complete that when she falls, the entire world goes bankrupt. Listen to the prophecy in Revelation 18, verses 11 through 13. The merchants of the earth weep and mourn for her, since no one buys their cargo anymore. Cargo of gold, silver, jewels, pearls, fine linen, purple cloth, silk, scarlet cloth, and slaves, that is, human souls. Notice the structure. The merchants don't weep because their supplier is gone. They weep because their customer is gone. No one buys their cargo anymore. Mystery Babylon is the world's ultimate consumer. The market that makes merchants rich. The buyer whose collapse means no one to sell to. What nation runs the largest trade deficit on Earth? America imports more than it exports by hundreds of billions of dollars every year. Chinese factories exist because American consumers buy their products. German automakers thrive because Americans purchase their cars. The whole world sells to America, and everyone knows what happens when America stops buying. In 2008, a housing crisis in the United States triggered a global financial meltdown. Banks collapsed in Iceland. Factories closed in China. Stock markets crashed from London to Tokyo. And that was just a mortgage adjustment. Imagine if America itself was destroyed. In 1 hour, such great wealth has been laid waste. But America's economic grip goes even deeper. Since 1974, global oil has been traded exclusively in U.S. dollars, the petrodollar system. Every nation on Earth must hold American currency to buy energy. The dollar isn't just money. It's the operating system of global commerce. And that final item in the cargo list? Slaves and human souls. America is a primary destination for human trafficking networks. American corporations profit from cheap overseas labor in conditions approaching slavery. The American entertainment and pornography industries commodify human beings on an industrial scale, exporting moral corruption to every nation.
So that slaves and human souls, think about America's history. Now also think about Epstein and what we've learned about Epstein, that this was a global sex trafficking operation. So America is steeped in selling people, whether it's black and brown people or whether it's trafficking people for sexual perversion. America has been a hub for selling people. Very interesting.
With an internet connection. The merchants of the earth have grown rich from the power of her luxurious living. And when she falls, they will weep. Not for the people, for their profits. 3 matches: geography, military, economy. But now we enter stranger territory. Symbols hidden in plain sight since America's founding. Revelation 17 describes Mystery Babylon as a woman arrayed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and jewels and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup full of abominations. A woman, lavishly dressed, holding a cup, standing as a symbol of the empire. Now think about the most recognizable symbol of the United States. A woman, lavishly crowned, standing at the gate of the nation. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from French Freemasons in 1886. Officially, she represents Libertas, the Roman goddess of freedom. But the symbolism runs deeper. Compare her to ancient depictions of Ishtar, the queen of Babylon. Ishtar wore a crown with rays emanating like the sun. She often held a torch or cup. She was a goddess of the gate, welcoming travelers into the city. She was called Queen of Heaven.
Now, for those of you that are familiar with Empowering Word Christian Center, followed Empowering Word Christian Center, has followed this series called The Antichrist Agenda, how many people remember when we broke this down about the Statue of Liberty and the whole historical context and construct, the spiritual construct of that? We broke down. Now, interesting thing about it is Babylon's symbol is a lion with eagle's wings. Remember, America. What is one of the symbols of America? An eagle. And it is infatuated with the lion. Remember, the Antichrist has the mouth of a lion. But we broke all of this down when it came to the Statue of Liberty and certain symbols. But this is all about the sun god worship. All of this is part of the Antichrist agenda. You cannot write this script if you tried. This is all spiritual. It's all meant to happen. And let's look at some more here.
The Statue of Liberty wears a crown with 7 rays. She holds a torch. She stands at the harbor gate, welcoming the world. And in Jeremiah chapter 44, God explicitly condemns Israel for worshiping the Queen of Heaven. Coincidence? Perhaps, but the parallels multiply. Travel to Washington, D.C., designed by Freemason Pierre L'Enfant. Researchers have identified occult geometry in the street layout. Pentagrams, the Masonic square and compass formed by the arrangement of major buildings. At the heart of the National Mall stands the Washington Monument, a 555-foot Egyptian obelisk. In ancient symbolism, obelisks represented Osiris, the god of the dead, and Baal, the sun god. Why Egyptian symbolism in America's capital? Inside the capital.
So I want to stop right there. Again, for those that's been following this series, The Antichrist Agenda, during the segment of America's Gospel, and I believe it's that segment, we broke down how could America claim that it's a Christian nation when you have all of this Egyptian sun god worship and you have all of this Greek and Roman god worship. The statues are all throughout the East Coast. The statues are all throughout Washington, D.C. We've been to D.C. We've been in almost all of the government buildings. We have been in the Capitol. And you look at the rotunda, the worship of George Washington as a god. All of this is anti-Christ, yet this nation claims to be a Christian nation. Yet false pastors and false preachers and false prophets claim this is a Christian nation. It's rooted in demonic worship. You have the obelisk, the Washington Monument. All of this is demonic worship. Even the Freemason cutout of the city of Washington, D.C., all of it is demonic worship. Yet they want to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. Notice how they never tear down these statues. Notice how they never tear down these monuments. Notice how they never talk about these things. The only thing they want to talk about is abortion and LGBT as preventing America from being a Christian nation. Yet its roots are in Greek, Roman, and Egyptian false god worship. And they do nothing about it, and they say nothing about it. All of that is an agenda to get people to not see what you should see. Let's watch some more here.
Dome, look up. You'll see the Apotheosis of Washington, a painting depicting George Washington ascending to godhood, surrounded by Roman deities like Minerva and Neptune. The first president of the United States painted as a god. Now take out a dollar bill, the most widely circulated.
Now watch this part. Now again, remember 2 Timothy, lovers of themselves. Remember Revelation 13:11. Then I behold a beast out of the earth, having two horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. It tries to masquerade as a Christian kingdom, as a Christian nation, as a Christian country, but it is demonic. This is America. And remember, don't forget about 13. Remember 13. 13 in the Bible means wicked, evil. It means demonic. And so what was America? It started with 13 colonies. Watch this. This is very, very good.
Piece of paper on Earth. On the back, you'll find an unfinished pyramid topped by a floating eye, the all-seeing eye, associated with Egyptian god Horus, or, in esoteric traditions, with Luciferian illumination. Below it, Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages. Above, Annuit Coeptis, he approves our undertaking. Who is he? The number 13 appears obsessively. 13 steps on the pyramid, 13 arrows, 13 olive leaves, 13 stars, 13 letters in the mottos. Look closely near the number 1 on the front, and some researchers identify a tiny owl, the symbol of Minerva, goddess of wisdom, but also associated with Moloch, the god to whom children were sacrificed. This is the currency that rules world trade, covered in pyramids, eyes, and Latin phrases about a new world order. These aren't Christian symbols. They're not American symbols. They trace back to ancient mystery religions, to Egypt, to Rome, to Babylon. The symbols point backward, but the prophecies point forward.
Hang on, did you guys see that?
Fire.
Did you guys see that?
The number 13 olive leaves.
Let's
13
make
star.
sure you saw something that I didn't see the first time I saw this.
They're not American
but we talked
symbols.
about this.
They trace back to ancient
And I'm going to
mystery
pause it
religions,
here.
to Egypt, to Rome, to Babylon. The symbols point backward.
Okay. That symbol right there. You see that? You see this right here? Remember, oh my gosh, we talked about this in the Antichrist agenda. That right there is in the chambers. It's in the chambers where the Congress meets. It's in the congressional chambers. There's one on each side. You just saw the State of the Union. And that is a symbol of fascism. It's the Roman symbol of fascism. Oh my gosh. I don't recall what the name is, but it's also on our dime. On the old dime, it's on our dimes. It's the Roman. All of this is prophetic that America is moving to fascism. And that's what we see with right-wing ideology and this republicanism and conservatism. It's moving to fascism. All of it is Babylonian and then Greek and then Roman and Egyptian all mingled in. This is false god worship.
But the prophecies point forward, to fire, to destruction, to an ending that comes in 1 hour. 3 times in Revelation 18, the same phrase echoes like a funeral bell. Verse 10, in 1 hour your judgment has come. Verse 17, in 1 hour such great wealth has been laid waste. Verse 19, in 1 hour she has been laid waste. 1 hour. Think about how ancient cities fell. The siege of Babylon in 539 BC required careful planning, diverting the Euphrates River, and a surprise night attack. The siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD took months of Roman assault. No technology in the ancient world could destroy a great empire in 60 minutes. But we live in a different age. The flight time of an intercontinental ballistic missile from Russia to the United States is approximately 30 minutes. A full nuclear exchange, thousands of warheads detonating across both nations, would complete in under an hour. For the first time in human history, the 1-hour destruction is physically possible. And notice where the destroyers come from. Jeremiah 50 and 51 repeatedly warn of a nation from the north. Verse 3, out of the north a nation has come up against her. Verse 9, an assembly of great nations from the north country. Verse 41, behold, a people comes from the north. If Babylon means Iraq, the north could indicate Turkey or Russia. But if Mystery Babylon is America, consider this. The shortest flight path for Russian missiles reaches the United States over the North Pole. From the north. Precisely. And today, with the war in Ukraine, with NATO expansion, with explicit nuclear threats from Moscow, the nation from the north has never been more relevant. But here's the most haunting detail. Revelation 18, verses 9 and 10. The kings of the earth will stand far off in fear of her torment as they watch the smoke of her burning. Verse 17. All shipmasters and seafarers stood far off. Far off. Why? In ancient times, when a city burned, people rushed in to help, to loot, to witness. But these observers stay distant. They fear to approach. They watch the smoke from far away. One word explains it: radiation. Nuclear fallout forces observers to keep their distance. They watch via satellite, not rescue teams. They see the smoke rising over a continent, and they dare not come close. And there's one more prophecy. Revelation 17, verse 16. The 10 horns that you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. They will make her desolate and naked, and devour her flesh, and burn her with fire. The 10 horns, 10 kings or power blocks aligned with the Antichrist, will turn on Babylon. Allies become enemies. The system she rode will destroy her. Today, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and their expanding alliance, actively work to de-dollarize global trade. Anti-American sentiment grows across the global South. Even traditional allies in Europe increasingly chart independent courses. They will hate the prostitute. The conditions are aligning. And 3 times in Scripture, the same command rings out. Jeremiah 51:6. Flee from Babylon. Run for your lives. Jeremiah 51:45. Come out of her, my people. Revelation 18:4. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. Come out. So, where does that leave us? To be fair, other candidates exist. Rome fits some criteria. The 7 hills, the blood of martyrs, the purple and scarlet of church vestments.
Okay, I want to say something about that. Again, this idea that Rome is going to be the place, and the city of Rome, and that's going to be the place of the Antichrist, and so on and so forth. The answer is no. Rome is not rebuilding. Italy is not rebuilding. That is not going to happen. There's no empire greater than the American empire. And the American empire is expanding as Donald Trump, the Antichrist, is causing expansion. Remember, he just, this happened, last Friday, he just met with all of the heads of state of the Americas. We're talking South America. And so what he's now called it, the Shield of Americas. And that's now now a formation, a governing body now that he's over. And so this is all going to eventually come under his board of peace. There's no empire. This is why Donald Trump wants Canada. He wants the whole Western Hemisphere. He wants Greenland, and he's going to own a big chunk of the Middle East. Africa will be divided up. There's only 3 players on the monopoly board. It's America, China, and Russia. And so we're talking about Xi, Trump, and Vladimir Putin. Now, what's going to happen is remember in biblical end time prophecy in Daniel, it talks about the Antichrist. It talks about news from the north and the east will trouble him. Remember that. News from the north and the east will trouble him. Who's out of the north? Vladimir Putin. Who's out of the east? Xi. And notice how Vladimir Putin and Xi and Kim Jong-un of North Korea were all having a get-together in China. This was just months ago. And how Donald Trump was just furious. And he tweeted, you can look it up. He said, have a good time as you guys all conspire against me in America. And he tweeted that. Remember, he was furious over the fact that he was left out. Well, remember, these players, Putin in Russia and Xi in China, they are going to eventually give their power to Donald Trump, the Antichrist, but then they're going to take it back. And so this idea that the 7 heels, I was going with that. Remember, multidimensional. It's multidimensional biblical end time prophecy. So, and then let me show you something else. I'm going to show you a couple things. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. Okay, yeah, there we go. And then, yes, okay. Okay. Here's some things that people don't realize. There's a couple things. One, when we talk about the 7 heels, first, did you know that Washington, D.C., we talked about this in the Antichrist agenda. Washington, D.C. used to be called Rome in 1610. Did you know that Washington, D.C. used to be called Rome? Yes, Washington, D.C. used to be called Rome. Okay? All right, so it was called Rome until it was later renamed Washington, D.C. Did you know Washington, D.C. has the 7 hills of Washington, D.C.? Yes. A largely symbolic debated concept modeled after Rome rather than a rigid geographical definition. Common interpretation included Capitol Hill, Meridian Hill, Floral Hills, Forest Hills, Hillbrook, Hillcrest, and Knox Hill. And so this is the 7 hills of Washington, D.C. And again, Washington, D.C. used to be called Rome. Now, also, we're talking about the harlot. So we're talking about the churches involved in this. So America will, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but America will eventually have this full merger as a Christian nation. Well, where do we get this from? The 7 Mountains Mandate. This is driven, this heresy that, remember, my wife and I used to teach, and we were part of the NAR under Bill Winston and under Lance Wallnau and under all of these false teachers and false prophets and false leaders. It is a doctrine of devils, but the 7 Mountains Mandate says that the church must sit on the 7 mountains, which are education, government, media, business, arts and entertainment, family and religion, that the church must sit on these. Remember, the book of Revelation chapter 17 says that she sits on 7 mountains. And so the church, they believe that they have to sit on these 7 mountains to control these mountains, and then revival can come. This is all the Antichrist agenda. Oh my gosh, if we broke this down, this is all just heretical stuff, just doctrines of devils. So that's something that you need to be aware of. Let's look at this some more.
A rebuilt Babylon in Iraq remains possible. Zechariah chapter 5 describes wickedness being carried to the land of Shinar to build a house there. And some scholars believe America simply isn't mentioned in prophecy because it will collapse or be raptured into irrelevance before the final events unfold.
America is not mentioned in biblical end time prophecy because America did not exist during that time. Okay, so, but the name America did not exist during that time. I mean, it's just really easy to just figure out the name America did not exist. But when we talk about biblical end time prophecy and the kingdoms that did exist, like Babylon and so on and so forth, those names are in there because they did exist. Okay. Medo-Persia, those things did exist. So you have to be able to see. And again, if you love the beast, you won't be able to see. So that's very, very key. That's why Jesus was so clear. You cannot love this world. You cannot love a system governed by the enemy. So let's watch some more.
These views deserve serious consideration. This is not settled doctrine. But here is what cannot be ignored. No city in history has sat on many waters, both literal oceans and figurative peoples, like America. No empire has been the hammer of the whole earth, projecting power to every continent, like America. No nation has made the merchants of the earth rich through consumption, like America. No power has mounted up to heaven and nested among the stars through space technology like America. No country has exported its culture, its music, its movies, its morality to every corner of the globe like America. Rome was powerful. Ancient Babylon was wealthy, but neither dominated global commerce, military force, and cultural influence simultaneously. Only one nation in 6,000 years of human history holds all 3 crowns. And you're living in it. But here's what matters even more than identification. Revelation 18:4. Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. God's people are inside Babylon. The call is to separation. This isn't necessarily a command to buy a plane ticket. It's a command to examine your heart. Have you adopted Babylon's values? Do you worship her gods? Money, power, pleasure, comfort. Do you place your security in her systems rather than in the living God? Because whether America is Mystery Babylon or not, one truth remains absolute. Every earthly empire falls. Babylon fell, Persia fell, Greece fell, Rome fell, the British Empire fell. And whatever nation sits at the pinnacle today will fall. Only the kingdom of God stands forever. If this theory is correct, millions of believers are living inside the very system prophesied for destruction. That's not cause for despair. It's cause for urgency, for holiness, for watching and praying. The God who warned Lot to flee Sodom is the same God who warns his people today. Mystery Babylon, whoever she is, represents everything opposed to God's kingdom. Pride. The tower builders said, "Let us make a name for ourselves." Greed. The merchants grew rich from her luxuries. Immorality. She held a cup full of abominations. Self-worship. She said in her heart, "I sit as a queen. I shall never see mourning." The call to come out isn't just about geography. It's about allegiance. Are we building towers to our own glory? Are we drunk on the comforts of this world? Or are we pilgrims passing through, with our eyes fixed on a city whose builder and maker is God? And here's the final truth that anchors everything. Even if America falls, even if the smoke rises and the merchants weep and the world as we know it crumbles in a single hour, God doesn't fall. He sits above the nations. He laughs at the schemes of kings. He writes the final chapter. For those who belong to him, the destruction of Babylon is not tragedy. It's the doorway to the kingdom. So, what do you think? Is America Mystery Babylon? Or is there another explanation?
Okay, so that's pretty much the video in itself. So here's something that you need to understand is the harlot. Notice the harlot is people are drunk on the wine. Well, the reason why it's wine is because remember, when we talk about Holy Communion, for those of you that are born again believers and you understand Holy Communion, and it's the blood and the body. And so symbolic of that, when we take Holy Communion, some institutions use real wine. We use grape juice. No big deal, but it's the symbolic. But the wine, remember at the Last Supper, the wine has to be coupled with the bread or the body. Notice that this harlot doesn't have any bread. This means it's a false covenant. The wine has to be coupled with the bread. It's the blood and the body. Remember, Jesus said, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you can have no part of me. Together. The harlot only has one, which means it's a false covenant. And if you listen to what I was talking about on Wednesday, how they say that America has a covenant with God. It's a false covenant. So there you have it. So what's going to happen? So this beast out of the earth officially transforms into the harlot. And what they're going to say is that America is really, the church is really the seat of Christianity. That's what's going to happen. It's going to, that's the whole idea when they're talking about, hey, Donald Trump is anointed by Jesus to light the fire, signal fire of the coming of the Lord Jesus. All of this is the Antichrist. It's all to make America a Christian kingdom, a Christian nation, and to bring the kingdom here. But remember, Jesus said the kingdom is within you. Don't look and say, oh, there's the kingdom, there's the kingdom. What they're wanting is they're trying to, conjure up this kingdom of God here on America. All lies, all falsehoods. It's the Antichrist agenda. Remember, there is going to be a rapture. And this rapture is going to it's going to include the Church of Philadelphia and Smyrna only. Only. Those are the only ones that are going to be raptured up. and the innocent. When I mean the innocent, those are children that have not reached the age of accountability. And, so what's going to happen is, and they're going to say this was not the rapture. Why? Because you'll have masses of people who call themselves Christians still here. Masses of leaders and preachers and false prophets still here. And that's when Donald Trump will be able to claim that he is God, because they're going to throw out the Bible, because they're going to blame it on an alien invasion, and they're going to blame it on some mysterious space. And that's why Donald Trump created the Space Force. This is all prophetic. All of it is coming true. And so what's going to happen is that's when the mandatory implemental of the beast mark is going to happen. I posted it just not too long ago about how Donald Trump signed the 6G and how they're focused on AI and implantable technologies. This is all Donald Trump. They're driving AI and implantable technologies. Once this rapture happens and the disappearance of this small remnant of Christians on the earth who are faithful, what's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, that's an alien invasion, and they're going to make everybody have this implantable technology with AI, and it's the merger, transhumanism, and that's what's going to happen. Now, when you see America destroyed, that's because this anti-Americanism is going to happen, and they're going to see that, hey, you know what? There's going to be war. Donald Trump is going to be in the Middle East because he's going to be sitting in the third temple at that point. All of this is coming to pass right before our eyes. You have to get your loved ones born again. You have to get them saved, and you have to align with Jesus and Jesus only. Don't align with any political system. Don't align with any cultural system. It's the kingdom culture. Don't align with anything. Praise be to God. It's amazing to me that people who are not even Christian, people that are not even part of Christendom in any way, shape, or form, can see what's happening better than people who call themselves Christians. God bless you. Happy Saturday.